There is this false idea that if you have a straight body type, you can't dress feminine, you can't dress sexy, you can't dress womanly, you can't dress girly, and all of this is just not true. In this video, I'm going to break down some of my tips and tricks for bringing out your feminine side if you have more of a straight body type, how to honor your lines, still look amazing, and use this to lean into your feminine energy, as well as breaking down some celebrities and style inspirations that you guys can look to honor your more girly or womanly selves. My name is Ellie-Jean. I help women to dress for their unique type of beauty, and I also explore costumes from your favorite TV shows and films. Can we take a moment for the color of this top? I found this on Vinted months ago, and I've been thinking about buying it, and I finally bit the bullet. I've been doing a lot of shopping lately. It wasn't even expensive. It was just one of those things that was on my list. And it is the perfect soft summer purple. I don't think I've ever felt so pretty as I do wearing this top. I just made a completely different video where I was wearing a top that wasn't in my season, and it's like night and day. There are two camps of stereotypically feminine style: flower and fire. Flower is more girly, sweet, innocent, and fire is more womanly, sexy, sensual, glamorous, luxurious. Unlike people on the internet will tell you, you can't just look at someone like Sofia Vergara, say she has a really sexy, womanly style, and copy her outfits and have the same effect. Because actually all of us are unique canvases, and you have to highlight unique elements of your own frame, your own features to create that same feeling. Let's start with the basics. What does it actually mean to have a straight body type? Straight is one of the categories in my body matrix system where there are 27 body types, and each one is made up of 3 categories: width, length, and shape. So you might be wide, long, straight, narrow, short, round, and so on. Or even medium, medium, medium. To have a straight body type means you have angular chest and hips, which are more squarish rather than rounded. Often it means having lean chest and hips for your proportions. So rather than having your typical hourglass frame, you might be more lean in your chest and hips. You might have squarish shoulders. So rather than your shoulders being sloped and rounded and having a curved, smooth edge, they'll be more square and sharp. Often means having a waist which is undefined, so you don't have that really tight, defined waist, although this is definitely not always the case. And it means having a rectangular silhouette, again, most of the time. And it might be that you don't have all of these things. It might be that you have more squarish chest and hips, but you do kind of have an hourglass silhouette in the sense that you have more of a defined waist. It might mean you have more of a rectangular shape. There are lots of different variations of what straight might look like. Essentially, it means that the lines of your frame are more straight and sharp rather than rounded and curved. That all sounds very complicated, but essentially it means being more sharp than soft. And of course, you obviously pair your shape with the other elements of your body matrix type, so width and length. So you might be a wide, long, straight, or a narrow, medium, straight, and so on. But today I'm going to focus purely on straight as a category in itself, and so just bear in mind that some of the recommendations may alter depending on the other elements of your body type. So how do you typically dress for a straight body type? You want lines which are straight, sharp, fabrics which are stiff and structured, outfits that are squarish with sharp edges, which are tailored and boxy. You might include an obscured waist, so this might mean having an empire waist or a dropped waist, or just a loose waist so that it's not very defined. It might mean having stiff fabrics like poplin, leather, or even tulle. Having straight shapes throughout the outfit, so straight trouser legs as opposed to, say, a bootleg, stiff sleeves as opposed to something soft like a puff sleeve. Having closed lines such as a high neckline or a tight leg, although this one very much is influenced by your width as well. But typically, closed elements are great for straight lines because they echo that straight shape. Now, not all of this sounds like typical feminine styles, which are either girly or womanly. They're often seen as open, soft, flowing, and there are ways that you can incorporate these elements from your style roots into your style and still honor your body type at the same time, even though they seem to contradict each other. I would love to do a general advice video for how to do contradicting style types, so contradicting body type and style roots, contradicting body type and essences. There are actually so many different methods that I use and that I list in my features analysis handbook, so you're welcome to go and check that out. But a couple that I often teach to any client when I was doing one-on-one services, my favorite, the pick and mix method. So this is where you pick the things you like from both of the style systems that you're trying to combine. So in this case, we're trying to combine body types with style roots. So style roots is this feminine style that you're trying to do. So that's the flower or fire style roots. And your body type is obviously your straight body type. So these are the two things we're trying to merge. So you don't have to include everything from your star routes. You don't have to include everything from your body types. Just pick the things that actually appeal to you. That's probably the easiest place to start. You can only wear things which cross over in the Venn diagram, of which in this case, there's not going to be very many, but there are some. And so when you go in this middle bit of the Venn diagram, find the things which work for both your flower or fire star routes and your straight body type. You can split it up. So everything in your silhouette you use just for your body type. So you don't try and apply your body type things to your patterns or your fabrics. You just focus on the silhouette. And then you can use your star routes to influence things like texture, fabric, pattern, color, and so on. These are just 3 methods. I actually have loads, but this is a great example. I think these give a good example into the mindset of mixing different things. The recommendations I'm about to give for flower first and then fire use a mix of different methods. Let's start with some flower style inspirations who also have straight body type. These include Elle Fanning. Well, she's one of my #1 style inspirations anyway. I mean, I don't have a straight body type. I have a rounded body type. But I think she is one of just the most amazing style inspirations for the flower route. And she also has a wide, long, straight body type. She has lots of great outfit ideas for this mix. Audrey Hepburn is a classic option. Maisie Peters, one of my favorite singers, often incorporates flower into her style, and she has a narrow short straight. Kate Middleton, although I wouldn't necessarily say that flower is one of her like true authentic style routes, she wears a lot of flower pieces in her role, so there's great inspiration there. Mia in La La Land, Emma Stone has a straight body type, and Mia has lots of fun, bright versions of the flower style route. Margaret Colley, I think I'm pronouncing that right, is one of my most recent additions into the narrow, long, straight board who has a flower style route, as well as Taylor Swift, although not always flower, definitely has throughout the years had many flower-inspired outfits. So from now, I think I'm just going to list all the things I think you could include in your style to represent the flower style route if you have a straight body type. Tulle skirts. People often think of tulle as soft, but actually it's quite a stiff structured fabric. Like for instance, if I try to wear a really stiff, long tulle skirt, I look kind of ridiculous as it just poofs out in a way it's not meant to because they're much better fitted for someone with straight lines. Pleated skirts, exact same thing as tulle. I cannot wear them, but like something like a pleated maxi or midi skirt, amazing for straight lines. Collared blouses, because they have that kind of tight neckline, often, you know, you want to lean into your more sharp, straight collars as well. But collared blouses look kind of ridiculous on me, whereas they're so soft, so feminine, and perfect for you. Shift dresses, think 1960s. 1960s is a perfect fusion of the flower route and straight body types. Cotton dresses, so cotton can be quite stiff. Ballet flat. Ballet flats can be worn by round and straight shapes, but that kind of flat line can kind of be perfect for straight shapes. It's why you'll often see someone like Keira Knightley or Taylor Swift incorporate them into their style. Long floaty skirts and dresses. I'm so envious of all of you who can wear long floaty dresses which don't necessarily have a defined waist. Here I'm thinking about a lot of Elle Fanning's red carpet looks. Stiff ruffles. So if you're going to incorporate ruffles into your dresses, can you make them more stiff and pleated as opposed to soft and flowy and rounded? Structured formal bags. Think Kate Spade. They're stiff, they're structured, but definitely feminine and soft and girly. Pastel suits. Colors can take you a long, long way. When you have a straight body type, a suit, a blazer, and trousers doesn't even feel that professional or masculine. It just melds with your body type, and it can feel really, really girly and feminine to wear this in a really pastel color. Because against you, the suit is almost like a blank slate because it doesn't contradict against your frame. So the color then does all the talking. Stiff fit and flare dresses. So typically we would only recommend fit and flare dresses for someone with a rounded body type because they come in at waist and go out again, so kind of echoing the hourglass frame. But actually there are lots of fit and flare dresses in really, really stiff fabrics which can work for straight lines, especially if they have that kind of high neck, stiff bodice and stiff skirt. A lot of them will be too stiff and structured for someone with rounded shape because they don't have that flow and movement, so they're actually great for you. Pleated mini skirts like skater skirts, again, way too stiff for someone who has rounded lines and feels kind of silly, whereas on you, perfect. Feels feminine, feels girly, and it completely molds with your frame. Strappy dresses, things like silk dresses which don't have a defined waist, amazing. Shirt dresses, same comments as I made for blouse really. They have a stiffness, they have a femininity. It's because they have that kind of vintage element to them, I think. Drop waist dresses, a lot of House of CB dresses actually, although might appear more rounded. Some of them have really low waists, which are just too much for someone with a round body type, are a great way to explore that style if you have a straight shape. Stiff blouses, I feel like I've kind of covered this, but not necessarily collared. Like it could be like a granddad collar, but anything kind of stiff in the fabric, too tight to the body is not going to work on someone with a rounded body type, but will feel really feminine and sexy against you. Think Lorelai Gilmore, or even Zooey Deschanel in 500 Days of Summer. Culottes, they have this vintage-inspired feel. Again, I'm thinking totally Kate Middleton here. But yeah, culottes, very vintage, but straight in shape. Tulle skirts, again, I feel like I've talked about tulle, but same thing there. They're stiff and structured, but feminine. Stiff mini or midi skirt, so something just like a straight mini skirt, perfect for you. Or even like quite a stiff midi skirt. Again, I'm thinking kind of Zooey Deschanel wears one of these. You can really get away with these where someone with a round body type would feel kind of frumpy. These can feel really cool against you. Tailored shorts, again, they have that vintage feel. Think Taylor Swift during like the 2012 Red era. Stiff but girly details, think hard kind of metal buttons, or say a bow belt buckle, which is in metal, which is hard and stiff but has that kind of feminine element. These will feel really cool as well. Or even like patent shoes, because they have that stiff surface. Tight high necklaces like pearls, I think always look really good on straight body types. Thick knit cardigans are hard for both straight and round body types, to be honest. But sometimes a thin knit cardigan, especially if you have narrow in your frame, is probably one of the only ways you can wear a cardigan, because it doesn't have that rounded shape and it will appear more straight. Bootleg jackets. These are stiff, they're structured. I feel very feminine, very Chanel. This is an idea I got from Taylor Swift, but long peacoats. I can't wear them double-breasted, just completely overwhelms me as someone with narrowness in my frame and roundness in my frame. But if you have straight lines, these look so cool and they're so soft and delicate. So let's move on to fire. Some style inspirations for fire, which is sexy, luxurious, glamorous, include Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City. She has a wide, medium, straight body type. Anya Taylor-Joy, so fire in her style. She's so luxurious, so glamorous, to the point where I almost decided that she had a round body type because she carries off these styles so well, but she really doesn't. She looks so good in straight lines because that's her body type. Serena van der Woodsen in Gossip Girl, Blake Lively has a straight body type, and how can you say that Serena doesn't have fire? Anna in Inventing Anna, played by Julia Garner, there's so much luxury to her outfits. She has a great style inspiration. And Meghan Markle and Natalie Portman, also great examples who often incorporate fire into outfits. So let's go with the list. Long silk dresses and skirts. I feel like texture is one of those things which is so important for fire. And I'll be mentioning different textures a lot. Long silk dresses and skirts look incredible. Slit skirts. If you have straight lines, you can look amazing with a slit because it kind of echoes that straight line. Pencil skirts. We often think of pencil skirts as something for round lines. But that's not actually necessarily true. They can look amazing on you if you have a straight shape. Silk shirts. Again, thinking about texture. Similarly, sheer shirts, because they have that overall silhouette of being straight and sharp, but the texture is more fire. Skinny jeans, lean into your straight lines. Completely skinny jeans show off your silhouette, they show off your body, but they don't conflict in any way with your shape. And are actually probably much easier for you as someone with straight lines to wear as someone with round lines, I often find. Deep V's. When I was looking through my Body Matrix Pinterest board, I found that even a lot of short tykes who have straight lines in their frame can wear more of a deep V. Did I say round? I'm not sure. If I did, I meant straight. You can wear deep V's a lot easier if you have straight lines, especially if you're flat-chested and have straight lines, because it doesn't feel quite so provocative. So definitely lean into that, as it feels sexy without being too overt. Sequins and sparkle. These are hard and stiff, just like straight lines, but they have this feminine energy. Tropical colors. This is the way I would lean for fire. So you can do that same thing of wearing suits, but in more tropical colors, by which I mean kind of look at like the True Spring and Bright Spring palettes as like your basis of tropical colors, but you can adjust these colors like depending on your season. I might be getting a little bit complicated there, but tropical colors, so think oranges, rich reds, rich greens, yellows, orange, all read as fire. Think of like tropical fruits. Any of those colors you can wear, go for it. Stilettos, definitely lean into your stilettos. It brings that straight shape into a shoe, especially with a pointed toe. This will feel so sexy and glamorous against you. Bootleg jeans. I know I said earlier that bootleg jeans are better for rounded shapes, and they technically are, but I do feel like it's one of those things which isn't too unharmonious and still has that fire feeling for straight lines. I wouldn't wear anything like overly flared, overly like 70s in shape, but a little bit of a bootleg has this kind of sexiness to it. Again, a shirt dress. I know I said this in flower, but I do think it can work in fire as well. I'm thinking Meghan Markle style shirt dresses, which I think can look really sexy and really kind of glamorous. Sweeping dresses. I know that's a little bit vague, but anything which goes Can you use sound effects to describe a dress? Essentially nothing which is too clingy at the waist. It might be silk, it might be like in any kind of fabric, but anything which is essentially an unbroken line and just swooshes across your frame, I think looks lovely. Statement jewelry. I feel like statement jewelry, especially if it's in a kind of hard texture like metal, can look really, really good on straight types and bring in that fire element. Off-shoulder tops, especially if you have width, but because it adds that straight line, but it's being a little bit flirty, showing a little bit of skin. Belted jackets, again, I know we think of belting as something which is for rounded types, but that's actually not necessarily true. I found that rounded types sometimes get overwhelmed by having like a jacket and a belt, and it actually obscures their waist more than it defines it. Whereas if you have straight lines, these kind of layers of almost imitating an hourglass silhouette, think Samantha Jones in Sex and the City, it creates the illusion of a waist, and it actually obscures your natural waist. It maybe lowers your natural waist and creates this really interesting silhouette, but the outfit is still tailored and structured, whilst having this little nod to softness. Velvet or silk suits have that same suit silhouette but change the texture. This will feel really sexy and really cool against you. Corsets, I haven't actually got that on my list, but I've just thought of that. Corsets, again, I feel like are often associated with round shapes, but actually I think corsets, especially ones with a low waist, are a really great nod to fire because they're actually stiff and structured and are often too much and too restrictive for someone with softness who needs soft shapes. These are structured, and so a corset with like a suit, for instance, like Robin in How I Met Your Mother, so sexy and actually great for straight lines. Stiff mini skirts, again, especially if you have short lines, really sexy, obviously showing a little bit of skin. Fur coats and fur trim jackets, typically I would suggest for someone with round shapes, but I feel like if you have the right shaped jacket, you might have to hunt a little bit. I think this is a great way to add fire into your outfits without distracting too much from your body type. And straw hats. These can actually be stiff, especially if you find one which isn't too floppy and is more stiff and structured, or any kind of hat. It doesn't have to be a straw hat, but kind of like your glamorous hats. I think these look amazing on straight lines. I hope you found this video interesting and that you learned a lot about straight lines and how to feel more feminine, which either version of stereotypical femininity fits for you. And remember, you don't need to be flower or fire to be actually feminine in your style. There are so many different forms and there are 8 style routes, and you don't need to do either of these things. But I know this is something that people who have these style routes and this body type often struggle with. So hopefully if you're in that camp, this is giving you some ideas. Check out our features analysis handbook to find your body type if you're unsure which of the body matrix types you are, and also check out our body matrix guides for the different body types, which go into so much depth on how to dress for your specific body matrix type combination. I'll see you next time.